you sure can't hide. And I bought out a 242, both for me and I'll set you free. Rap on, brother, rap on.
Well, the only brother talking about love and brothers is the preacher. And it seems nobody's interested in learning but the teacher. Segregation, determination, demonstration, integration, aggravation, humiliation, obligation to our nation. All of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, yeah. Sale of crack is at an all-time high. Young folks walking around with their heads in the sky. The city's aflame in the summertime.
And when the beat goes on.
Appolution, revolution, gun control, the sound of soul. Shooting rockets to the moon. Kids growing up too soon. Politicians say more taxes will solve everything, yeah. And the band played on.
So round and around we go. Where the world's headed, nobody knows.
That's the ball of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey.
Fear in the air, tension everywhere. Unemployment rising, bad the tips and new rucks of gas.
And the only safe place to live is on the Indian reservation, yeah. And the band played on.
Eve of destruction, tax deduction.
City inspectors, bill collectors, high calls, empty man, population out of hand. Suicide, too many bills, hippies moving to the hills. People all over the world shouting in the war, yeah. And the band played on. That's the ball of confusion. Yeah. That's what the world is today. Hey, let me hear you, let me hear you, let me hear you say, ball of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, let me hear you, let me hear you, let me hear you say, ball of confusion. Yeah. That's what the world is today. Hey, let me hear you, let me hear you, let me hear you say, ball of confusion.
People moving out, people moving in. Why? Because of the color of the skin. Run, 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 but you sure can't hide. And I bought out a 242, both for me and I'll set you free. Rap on, brother, rap on.
Well, the only brother talking about love and brothers is the preacher. And it seems nobody's interested in learning but the teacher. Segregation, determination, demonstration, integration, aggravation, humiliation, obligation to our nation. All of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, yeah. Sale of crack is at an all-time high. Young folks walking around with their heads in the sky. The city's aflame in the sun. inspectors, bill collectors, high claws, every man, population out of hand. Suicide, too many bills, hippies moving to the hills. People all over the world shouting in the war. Yeah. And the band played on. Got the ball of confusion. Oh, yeah. Ooh. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey, let me hear you, let me hear you, let me hear you say, ball of confusion. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey, let me hear you, let me hear you, let me hear you say, ball of confusion. Yeah. That's what the world is today. Hey, let me hear you, let me hear you, let me hear you say, ball of confusion.
People moving out, people moving in. Why? Because of the color of the skin. Run, 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 but you sure can't hide. And I bought out a 242. Vote for me, and I'll set you free. Rap on, brother, rap on.
Well, the only brother talking about love and brothers is the preacher. And it seems nobody's interested in learning but the teacher. Segregation, determination, demonstration, integration, aggravation, humiliation, obligation to our nation. All of confusion. Oh, that's what the world is today. Hey, hey. Sale of crack is at an all-time high. Young folks walking around with their heads in the sky. The city's aflame.
And there we are. What's up, everybody? What's up, facility? If you're still in there. Hope everybody has had an interesting day or week. Nice. Hopefully you're not overwhelmed by all the jiu-jitsu content that's online right now. Seems like everybody under the sun is doing online stuff, which is great, because all it really means is there's going to be tons of content out there. Like, after all this stuff, there's going to be tons of stuff out there. So definitely a good opportunity to, like, see some other stuff, take some time to just work on that. And if you have some room, work on some stuff at home. With that in mind, I know a lot of people have been showing, like, solo drill stuff and all this other stuff. There's plenty of people that put great content. Go look whatever John Donaher's solo drilling videos or whatever. They're free. Go get them. They're better than anything I'm going to show you probably. So in terms of that, hey, what's up? Are we better? Nice to see you in here again on a. Well, that was what I was going to say. I was like, yeah, he's over
Pretty
in
late
Europe. I was
there.
like, it's getting late over there. Or I guess if there's no school or whatever, so I mean, you probably don't have anywhere to go tomorrow. So, so glad to have you here. I actually didn't expect you to be here considering the time difference, but that's fantastic. So, oh, there is school. So there is school where you are. Oh, dang, you don't even get out of school for this yet. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll take that then. So, what I'm going to do today is obviously I'm not going to show you a bunch of solo drills like I just said, already taken care of. But what I am going to do is kind of show you. I'm going to start to talk about half guard, and this is going to be basically the rest of the week. I'm going to be talking about this and kind of expanding on it every day. It won't be here every day. It won't be with Miss Ingrid every day. We're going to change it up a little bit and stuff. No, that's a bummer. You had the last training session today. Hopefully it's the last one only for a short bit of time. That's kind of where I am. Like, I'm fortunate enough that I have this space here, and fortunate enough like I have a kind of a gym space now I can use if we need. What's up, Almighty Bandana? Banda. I always say bandana. I think right. Banda. What's up? Like tomorrow, I think we'll be doing tomorrow night stream from the gym with Kyle. So that will be cool. But we're going to be working on or going in over kind of not the same thing every day, but we're talking about half guard all this week. Because I figure why not do some streams each night? I'm not going to train anywhere each evening right now because everybody's pretty much closed. So, yeah. You're young, so it's the time to start, I guess. Just don't get punched in the head too much. What should I do if a person puts knee on my balls after that on my face? Okay. Don't be friends with them anymore. That would be my suggestion. Don't be friends with them anymore. But one of the things I was going to do was one of the drills for this half guard, at least today, one of the drills I'm going to show you. Essentially, you can do with two people in a very small space because it's not going to take up a lot of room. So if you're stuck inside, you're stuck with your wife who doesn't want to have anything to do with jujitsu or whatever. I'm not, unfortunately, I don't have that problem. But you're trying to get her to help you with stuff or whatever. This will be a good opportunity. Or if you have, someone else that you trust. My half guard needs work. Am I wrong? I wouldn't say that. I mean, you did great. Like in your matches, you did well. But to be honest, I think you did pretty well from those positions. The half guard, the top half guard, and stuff. You just made like one little mistake with where your arm was placed, and that kind of let him roll you or whatever. But I wouldn't. But I mean, to be honest, everything you have needs work. But everything I have needs work. So like the thing I'm showing this week, the half guard and stuff. Did you show Mrs. B? Not yet. She has not actually seen them, but actually we'll watch those after the stream tonight.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Because we haven't. Things have been crazy with this work stuff and all this other stuff going on. Yeah. So this is one of the few times we've had to sit down and actually spend time in a while. So
and we're here spending it with you.
Yes. So, but I'll show the videos after this because I know she was interested to see them. She was asking about them actually. So, but like even what I'm going to show today and this week. With the half guard, it still needs to get better. Like, I still need to get better at it. I'm good at it, but there's still, a lot of stuff. I still see stuff to this day that I'm like, oh, never seen that from half guard. Or I've seen it, but I'm like, oh, I never used that. I should try to add that in, So, there's plenty to work on. Don't worry about like thinking about it like that. Like you're always gonna have things to work on. Just work on the things you need to work on. Work on your weaknesses. You always get better. So, but what I was saying is the drill that I'm going to show you, you can do in a small space, and it's a good drill. It's a very basic like fundamental half guard drill. If you don't have a great bottom half guard game, this will really help you with that a little bit. And I think it's pretty good. So we'll get to the drill a little bit later because I'm going to show you just a couple basic things before we get into the drill. But we're going to be, like I said, working on this all week. So, getting the half guard. So in this situation, let's go ahead and we'll do it from right here. This angle's probably the best. Yeah. Okay. So she's going to get the underhook on my head here. She has underhook on my arm over here. This is not great for me. You know, this is essentially right now we're starting at the bottom of the ladder. This is the worst spot we can essentially be in. All her weight's on me. She doesn't have to move a lot if she doesn't want to. If this is a competition and there's a minute left and this person on top is up on points, most likely I'm going to have to do a whole lot to get out of here because they don't really have to move. Yeah, they just have to sit here for a minute and they win. So to get into that a little bit, just to talk about this, I generally want to stop getting here before I get here. And what I mean by that is just something little. Like even if I can, go ahead and lift up a little bit. Even if I get something like this. Now go ahead and put your weight back on me. Okay, see this? It's not good. It's half guard and advantage. So I'll get back to that, but yes, it is in a way. I'll show you. But if you look, like right now, I have a little bit of a frame. I can get to my side a little bit. Okay? She's going to put her weight back on me, and it can flatten me out, but I kind of have a little bit of wiggle room. Okay? Stuff like that is what I'm going to try to do before I get to here. Okay? And ultimately, getting the underhook on this side. And that's what we're going to talk about next, because that's probably the first key to this. Getting to your question real quick. So this right here, if your opponent gets you to this point where they have the underhook on the head, the underhook on your arm, and they have you flattened out, this is an advantage. They get an advantage for this. Okay, there's no points, but they get an advantage. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, but by the token, just like I was saying, if we go ahead and scoot up a little bit. If like here, I'm like this. Now go ahead and come back down on me. Like this. This is not an advantage. Because I'm not flattened out, okay? She needs to get the basically the underhook on my head and everything and flatten me out, okay? You go ahead, get up now. So those are the things I'm gonna try to focus on before I get there, okay? We'll tell you what. I'll answer your questions towards the end, okay? Let me get through this, and I can talk about the lockdown a little bit. So before I get to that spot where I'm flattened out and stuck, I'm trying to kind of frame, push, underhook. I'm trying to do something, get on my side to where I'm not going to get flattened out like this, where all her weight's on me. Okay, but let's assume. Let me go screw down a little bit. Let's assume. Go ahead and get that back. Let's assume they got me here. Okay. You know, I wasn't doing a good job. They just got a lot of pressure on me, and I'm stuck here. Okay. We're going to talk about how we're going to build out of here, or how we're going to get out of here, okay? First thing we're going to do, sorry, I'm coughing a little bit, all the pressure of her weight's on my chest, and it's heavy. Like, I probably outweigh her by 50, 60 pounds, maybe. And it's still, just in this position, a lot of her weight is really uncomfortable on my chest. So this is why, like, if you get stuck with someone that's much, much bigger, this is terrible. Okay, so we don't want to just go here. Okay, we want to make sure we're not stuck here. But if we do get stuck here, we want to start worrying about frames. Okay, first frame is going to be on the hip here. Okay, first thing I'm not going to do is use my hand to post. Okay, if I use my hand to post, what's going to happen is the person on top, especially if they know what you're doing and they're going to take advantage of this, they're going to drop their hip on that side. So we're going to take that hip and drop it to the ground. Ah, yes. Sorry. And that's what's going to happen. If your hand's here, they're going to drop their weight on, and it's going to wrist lock you. At the very least, it's going to hurt, okay? So we're going to use our framing, whether it's the heel of our palm or even just a little of our forearm, okay? That way, if she does drop her weight like that, it doesn't crush my hand. It doesn't wrist lock me, okay? So I'm getting here. Getting that palm in there, that way I can slide out, but I can still push. And now I want to get a frame up here. Okay, one thing we don't want to do, okay, and you're going to probably do this if you're new to this, is I don't want to bring my arm in front of her face, okay? I'm trying to get to this. Let me scoop this through. Where I can kind of put my hand on her shoulder and create a frame with my forearm. If you have a whoop on your wrist, you can dig that in her throat too. It's great. So, but to get there, I'm not going to go up and over. Because if I go up and over, what's probably going to happen is she's going to take advantage of this to somehow like grab my arm or whatever. It's not going to be good. I don't want to move my arm away from my body like this. Because bad things are going to happen. I'm going to get stuck. You know, especially if I end up like this, take this on the other side. If I'm like this and I try to reach over, bad things happen, okay? So just remember, we're not moving around in front of the face, okay? What I like to do, let's turn this way a little bit. What I like to do is I take my hand and I kind of like, I can either make almost like a point with it, or I take my fingers and kind of make a, I don't know what you would call this, like a chopping motion, chopping fingers.
You just curl your fingers in.
Yeah, I just curl my fingers in. And what I'm trying to do is drive that into, turn your head that way a little bit. I'm trying to kind of see your jawline. That's generally what I'm going to follow to get in there, okay? Because a lot of times people are going to be tight and they're getting their head down and they're going to tuck their chin in because they don't want to let you get this in, okay? So you're going to have to be a little mean about it. I'm not going to be mean here with her and like punch her across the face. But what I'm shooting to do is kind of, let's turn a little bit this way, is I'm trying to take my fingers or my point and ride that jawline in. So that way when she's really heavy and I ride that jawline in, I slide under the throat. And once I get in front of her throat, the more pressure she starts to bring in on me, the more it's going to kind of drive into her throat and be uncomfortable. But ultimately,
You take that thing off.
yes.
I don't know
Sorry, I
what
forgot that
parts
was
all
going to
over
be,
my-
yeah. So I'm driving this under and rolling it under and punching it through until I can get my hand on the shoulder. And now I have my other frame and I have my two frames, okay? And now we can actually start to work out of here. Yes, yeah, if I'm starting to get my arm here, they can put their head on, start the arm triangle, cut over. It's kind of hard to transition to the arm triangle from here, but so many people can get you stuck here like this that it, even if I can control their leg, it's so uncomfortable for me, especially against anybody my size or bigger. It's not, I don't want to get stuck there, so I'm not going to do that. So now that we have talked about getting our frames, we're going to talk about the next step. Next step, I'm trying to think about the best way to show this. So let's go turn this way. Sorry. Like this. Good. All right. So now that I've got my frames here and on the hip, I need to work on my shrimp. Okay? This is why when I talk to newer people and I'm kind of showing them warm-ups usually, which includes shrimps, I really try to explain to them why shrimps are important. Because I feel like when you explain to people where they're going to use it and why, it actually helps them to do shrimps better because they actually understand what they're trying to accomplish. Before I knew what shrimps meant or whatever, I was just scooting my butt along and I didn't know why I was doing it or what I was trying to accomplish. So here, we got to pull out our best shrimp, okay? Okay, sorry, talking about this. So, gonna shrimp. Gonna take my foot outside, step, and I'm gonna bridge. Okay, I'm gonna use the frames I have here to help create a little space when I bridge. Okay, depending on the size of my opponent is gonna kind of dictate a lot of times, and how good I bridge or how well I bridge is gonna dictate the space I end up with. Okay, the thing is, even against very large folks, I really don't need a lot of space. I'm just shooting for a little bit of space, okay? So I'm here, I kind of step out, I bridge up, and shrimp a little bit, okay? Assuming that they're gonna be heavy here, what I'm trying to do, if you look, can you lift this up and turn it around a little bit this way? Sorry, go back down. Awesome, perfect, thank you. And then bring this arm up. I'm sorry. Okay.
I can't. I don't have an extra arm.
Oh, here's you can hold it on my chest or whatever. Okay. So I've made just enough space that I can take this arm and roll it under. Okay, even against much bigger people, they're crushing me down. I've made enough space to just roll for my underhook. Okay. So go ahead and get me back down with the frames here. So I step, I bridge up, create space, shrimp away. Whatever that little space I was making with my bridge is the space I'm gonna have. Okay, so if it's a little bit of space, it's a little bit of space. Then I'm gonna have to shrimp a little bit more to create enough space to underhook here. Okay, and I'm gonna underhook and grab her belt. Now, once I get here, right now, I don't have a very deep underhook. I'm very shallow, and this happens a ton. And I'm going to show you what happens, because this is going to happen in most tons of situations. All right, I'm going to show you again just a little bit from this angle, the shrimp and frame. So I have my frames, step, bridge, and shrimp out. And you see this little space? Here's enough to drive my hand through. We're going to assume that they're going to come back into us. Boom. Because they would have stayed heavy. They would have closed that space we just made. But now we have our underhook. And what this allows us to do is now we can hold the belt. We just don't want to let ourselves get flattened back out because this is going to make it harder to start to get up to our side more. So we're on our side a little bit, and I'm going to start kind of just bumping. Okay? Depending on the size of the person, I might have to bump a lot. Okay? What I'm trying to do, go ahead and jump off here real quick. Thank you. What I'm trying to do essentially, is I'm trying to slowly bump and get my arm almost like I'm raising my hand. Because what's going to happen, you come back here. I don't know, I guess that's a compliment. Or maybe I'm just showing very basic stuff, but that's the point of this. This is the beginning stuff from half guard. This is like the fundamental level half guard stuff. So I've created my frame, boom, hooked under, and I'm staying on my side. Okay. So now what happens is, as they try to put more pressure or weight into me, if that's what they try to do, I can bump and shrug my shoulder until I can raise my hand. And now I have a deep underhook. And that's where we're going to start to work on our next thing, okay?
And if you notice there, I didn't really move when he was shrugging. Like, it's possible that I could move, but it was mostly him pushing against me to move himself.
Yes, thank you. That's like a super duper great point. Thank you for pointing that out because I want to actually show that on the other side. Because she's 100% right. Because if she's, as you'll see tomorrow, if she's Kyle, I'm not moving him. Like she, like I said, I outweigh her by a ton. I can really bump her, okay? And if I need, I can use my knee into her butt to bump. If I really am trying to move the person, but I'm not really trying to move her. What I'm trying to do, then let's I want to spin around. Sorry, I keep making you spin. Is this? So I'm here, and I'm almost. By bumping and raising, I'm scooting myself out. And she's falling where I was. So by bumping and scooting, I'm starting to scoot myself out. Now if I can come up here, we can attack the back. That's a valid thing, and I would suggest going for that all day. If it's there, take it. Okay? I'm not going to talk about that today because you'll find when you work this, that's easy. If they're giving that to you, you just come up and come up. Or come out and come up. Haven't seen gi basic in ages. Hey. This is the stuff I've used for this, 7 years I've done jiu-jitsu. And it's worked white belt to now. And this is, especially this stuff, the basic fundamental stuff, this is the stuff that actually gets me success against much better people. Relying on just essentially the foundational stuff I built from some of these positions. I don't play a lot with other stuff against much higher belt people, generally because I don't get the opportunity to. They smash. If I'm trying something new against like a black belt, it doesn't work. but like my half guard does pretty good against a lot of them and things like that. So, um, so excuse me, sorry, coughed in Mickey. So back to this. So remember, I'm creating frames so I can create space, but I'm creating space focused more on moving me than moving them, because I can't rely on the fact that I can move them. I can usually rely on the fact that if I make enough space, I can move myself, okay? Especially if you're a much smaller person. I have the luxury of being a larger gentleman. If you're a much smaller person, this is going to be even more important. That's why I focus on it as much as I do, because when I'm tired, it's 10 times harder unless I'm doing it properly. So, where were we? Let's go ahead and get back to half-guard. So, running through, it's a little bit again. What time we're at? 8:26. Did you guys meet through BJJ? We sure did.
We did.
We did. What's up, facility? Welcome back. Yeah, I trained at a place where I knew some people and stuff, and she trained there. And then they coerced us into going out, and then I kind of liked her. Yeah, I liked her, and that was it. So, so let's just jump back to the beginning real quick, and I'll flow through this because we've already talked about this enough. Frame, rolling under. We're gonna have to be mean here a lot of times. Just think about it like this, especially if you're training with like a training partner that's a friend. Just remember, when you're driving your fist into their face through here, sorry, they could just let it go through. Just remember, like, it's as mean as it is because they're not letting it go through. Just remember that. If they just let it go through, it wouldn't be as mean. So it's their fault, not yours. Anyway, live training partner. We're in a lockdown here. Yeah, we're kind of on lockdown here too. Yeah, but that was really the only reason I kind of started dating her and then married her. Because I was like,
Just in case there's a Pokemon.
Stuff goes bad. I always have a training partner to, and if I get sick, she's gonna get sick, and vice versa. So we can still train together. So it's fine. Anyway, so we got our frames. Step. I don't literally step like this when I'm training, like doing it. I'm doing this to kind of emphasize that I'm not lazy with my foot out here. Okay, if I'm lazy with my foot, I'm not going to get a good bridge, and I'm not going to get space. If I want to make space against a much, much larger person, I really have to dig this foot in and use a proper hip-up bridge, because I'm not going to be moving the top of them. I'm really not moving the top of them a lot when I do this. It's more moving their hips up and out, so it creates a little bit of space for me to go under. Because against much larger opponents, the space I have to work with is going to be really, really small. So here, boom. Big bridge up, come in under. They're pressuring back in. It's fine. I'm on my side. It's okay. I'm just shrugging my arm up, hip out, boom. So now let's assume that I can't just come out and come up. We're going to assume that they're going to kind of back their hips up and get weight back down. Here, yes. But they're not going to let us do that, okay? Now we're going to transition to the first sweep I think I ever learned. Definitely the first half guard sweep I ever learned. This might be legitimately the first sweep I ever learned. And I learned it named as the old school. So kind of fitting that it's like one of my first things. So what I'm going to do here, now that I have this underhook here, is I'm going to shrug and get kind of as deep into her as I can. Okay? I'm going to take my hand here, and I'm going to start fishing. I want to grab her toes on her outside leg here, okay? So what I'm going to do for that is I'm just going to reach. So depending on what position they're in and stuff, it's going to be whether it's easier or harder to get this foot. What I find is when I'm here against people, they're always driving their weight into me and bringing this knee up higher. Yes, so that they can pressure into me, because they're trying to keep me from really coming out. So I reach, and sometimes I get the ankle at first, but I'm really fishing for the toes. Okay? Now that I have the toes, I have to start like pulling it in, and I switch my foot. All right?
The biggest part about this, and I see people do this all the time when they're first trying this, is they don't switch their foot. What happens, are you comfortable, okay? Okay. What happens is if I don't switch my foot here, right now, my bottom foot is what's holding the half guard. If I take this off, she's just gonna step through my guard, okay? So we can't do that, okay? But I can't come up with this foot being the controlling foot. Yes, there we go. Sorry, I had a hair on my nose. So, I'm here. So what's going to really happen is it's going to be like this, yeah. Okay?
I didn't know if you just wanted to show the foot part first.
Sorry. We're about to do the next part, so we're good. So I have the toes, I'm pull them in. I need to switch my feet. Now look real quick. If I switch over the top of my leg, it's kind of hard for me to get this foot out. So what I tend to try to do is step inside. Step inside. Okay? That way I'm not going to get caught up in my legs. Now that I've switched and I'm controlling with the top foot, I can start to drive in and pull my bottom leg out and bring my hip up as I'm pulling this toe as far into me as I can. Okay? So I go here, I come up, sorry, to my elbow, and I drive forward. Boom! And then we'll get a pass, basically. Or a sweep, sorry. We get a sweep, okay? I'll have you do it next, okay? Okay. So, what's the sweep called? I've only heard it called the old school sweep. I'm sure there's other names for it. I wish I had a live-in training partner. Have you trained other martial arts? I did Kung Fu when I was like 11, and I thought it was silly, and then I stopped. So that was the extent of my martial arts training before Jiu-Jitsu. And you did Krav Maga, right? Mm-hmm. She did Krav Maga, so she was more experienced martial artist before.
Like a year or so.
Well, I'm just saying you had more martial arts experience when you started Jiu-Jitsu than I did.
Then you're Kung Fu.
Yeah. I've only heard of it as old school. So yeah, and that's I kind of assume there should be a name for it or whatever, but I've only ever heard it as old school. All right. So we're gonna switch this up a little bit. Now she's gonna do it to me. I'm gonna run through it again. Okay. I still do this sweep to this day. I've done it on higher belts. I don't think I've ever got this on a black belt because they just usually step up. I'm pretty sure I've hit this on a couple brown belts. And it's simply just getting the grips. Once you get the grips and the toes in, there's not much they can do. They want to step up there, but they can't now. So they have to stop it before it gets to that point. Okay? So let's go ahead and switch up. You can head that way. So I'm a big, strong, burly person. And I've got her crushed down. Rah! Alright? So again, same concepts. We want to talk about the frames. She drives this in front of my face. And now, like I was talking about real quick, now that she has this across my throat, all right, I'll talk to you later. He's going to go to bed now, finally. It's good. You should probably get to bed now anyway. It's got to be ridiculously late there. But once she has this forearm across my throat, the more I try to press and crush into her, really, I have to turn my head and everything. It makes it very uncomfortable for me. Okay? And thanks for jumping in. See you next time. And tomorrow, we'll be back tomorrow, same time. You shouldn't stay up this late every night. You need to sleep. So maybe take a nap before the stream. I don't know. And then now that has these frames, she has this. She has a frame on my hip. But as we were talking about, right now I even feel that she's using the palm of her on my hip. Okay? So that way if I do decide, and people will do this very fast. There are people that just will do this very fast. So you have to be ready for this. I'm not going to do it fast. But they'll just drop their hip. Boom! Very quick. And if you don't have your hand in the right spot, you have it in a bad spot, and they drop it, I'm not going to do it. But they drop it, your hand's going to go, psh, and it's going to be very, very uncomfortable. Like I said, at best, it's going to hurt a lot. Okay? So she's here. She takes, like I said, I was overemphasizing the step, but she makes sure she steps well enough to get a good bridge. You ready? Okay. She bridges into me and shoots that under. Okay, as I'm coming back to pressure into her, Sherry has this underhook. Okay, it's not super deep, but it's deep enough to start to bump. Okay, if I'm coming back really low, she can still raise her hand like and start to bump and scoot out. Okay, when she's ready now, she can fish for my toes. All right, once she gets the toes, she pulls that in. Let's go ahead and turn a little bit this way. Yeah. So now that she has that, go ahead and grab a little lower on my foot, like the toe. Yeah. Because the thing is, the person on top, once they feel this, they're gonna want to get this foot out. So they're gonna start to try to drive it out, kick it out. But if you have the toes gripped, it's really hard for them to get that back. Okay? Now she wants to start to come up. There's nothing stopping her from coming out behind me and stuff. So, except she has to switch her feet. So she's going to step inside, bring that other foot down, very good. And now she's going to come up to her side. Actually, more, yes, come up. And she's going to start to drive forward. She can use her leg to straighten this foot, and boom, right over. She comes over. We're almost off the mat. We're good. And she comes down in top half guard. Okay? No video from me. Does anybody else see video? Everybody else see video? It's weird if you don't see video. I think everybody else was seeing video pretty well. Facility, you can still see me? I don't think
Nobody
she's
else
talking
is
to himself.
commenting.
Yeah.
Alright.
We have
So we did
video.
this week.
Okay. Okay. And then I'll fix it. All right. So essentially, that's kind of the beginning setup to this. That's like that was the foundation, the very, very, very beginning of my half guard game. That's why my first guard pass I really learned ever was the over under pass, because and we won't talk about it very much. You can look up the over under pass. This sweep leads right into the over under pass. So I think this was the first sweep I learned, and the first guard pass I really learned was the over under pass, because he just connected, and that was like the foundation of the beginning of my competition game, basically. Pull half guard, old school sweep them, over under pass, and then hopefully figure out something from there, because that was it. I didn't know anything else. So what you can do with this, if you do have a training partner, is you can do a drill with this. Because if you look, person on top starts in top half guard, person on the bottom sweeps them into top half guard. So you can go back and forth with this. Did you close your gym because of the coronavirus or not? So if you have the space, and you don't need a lot of space, you can really do this in, to be honest, maybe even like 2 blocks of this mat space here. You could do this on the floor. You could do this on the carpet. It's not really that, bad on your knees or anything like that. This is a pretty good drill thing, fundamental thing you can work on at home to really just get a little bit of this down. It's something you can work on in this time where you can't go train or whatever, but you can drill this and work on this. And really, in my opinion, the most important part, the part that's the hardest, is the bridge and the getting the underhook. If you get good at the bridge and getting that, and shooting that underhook quick, you're gonna have a really, 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 really good half guard game from the bottom. Because what's gonna happen is even big folks who want to really put pressure on you and stuff, the second you can get that underhook, and the second you're focused on moving yourself and moving yourself more and them less, everything's going to get so much better. And this is something you can really, really drill, even with a small person, and just then focus on the fundamental things. So if you're going to do this drill with a partner, we'll just do it through real quick. They're going to start on top, closed half guard, or completely bad half guard for you. You don't even have your frames. You can give them a big hug if you want to start like this, okay? All right, so now we got to get our frames. Usually this frame's pretty easy to get. Okay, I don't generally have a hard time getting frame here from half guard unless they drop their hip down. Go ahead and drop your hip all the way down. Like, yes. Well, I'm just saying, because here we have to, it's a different thing.
Okay, we have to kind of change up what we're going to do if they do this, because we can't quite do what we're talking about here. We can still create frames and stuff. We can still basically do the same stuff, but we have to do our framing a little differently here. We're not going to get into that. Maybe we'll get into that later this week. So we're here, frame on the hip, roll under, step. Here's the part I want you to focus on. If you drill this, if you're drilling it now, you're drilling it at home, focus on this. Step, bridge, hips up, because they're going to be heavy, right? So we're not prolonging this. It's almost like a punch. It's like a quick punch, like a jab. Boom, real quick. We're here. We bridge up, under. Okay, they're probably going to flatten us back down, but we have the underhook here now. We can start to bump, bump, get, grab. Okay, get to our side, come out. Grab the toes, switch the feet, straighten this other foot out, pull the toes in, come up, drive them through, boom. Okay, we're going to come up, underhook the head, and get to top half guard. Okay, now, scooch over a little bit. They're going to do the drill themselves. Get the frames, frame on the hip, going to step and big branch and strip, underhook the arm, boom. I'm coming back in, make it harder for her. She bumps, grabs my foot, pulls the toes in, switches feet, straightens out my leg, boom, comes up to half guard, takes this out and underhooks my head, and then we just go through it, okay? As you can see, we really only took up this amount of space. So you could probably move your couch, do that in the living room. You can move in a basement area, small space. You don't need a lot of space for that. You could probably even do it on the bed, to be honest. I don't know. Depends on how squishy your bed is.
You're just waiting for the trolls to come talk to you.
Whatever.
Oh my
Anyway, so I think that's probably what we're going to end it on. That will be the drill I would suggest doing with this. But just try to remember these fundamental things. And if it's something you've worked on for a long time, like someone like facilities or brown belt or whatever, or anything like that, I'm sure you understand these principles and stuff. But what I find is over time, as I get more comfortable from that position, sometimes the fundamentals start to get a little, what's the word? Not hazy, but dull. And I think sometimes just refocusing on a couple of these basic things has really helped me to kind of reset that in my game. Like, I was having trouble with like half guard against bigger folk because I wasn't worrying about these like fundamental things. So I was trying to play a much more advanced game. I was like, I'm trying to do a, knee shield and turn it into like a lasso, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, maybe I should focus on just getting the underhook back and all this other stuff. So, so that's it. We'll expand on that tomorrow. Like I said, we'll be at the gym tomorrow, probably with Kyle. That's the plan. But we're going to continue on with this. I'll talk probably tomorrow about transitioning from that, using the similar principle to transition to a knee shield. And then I'm going to talk about knee shield and what I kind of use that for and what I do with it. Because there's a lot of things we could play with that. And there's a couple different ways of doing knee shield. I've actually been taught it probably 3 different ways from like 3 legitimately good black belts. So it kind of told me it probably really works all 3 ways. But it was very, very, very different. What they, like one person preferred a very low knee shield, the other person preferred a very high knee shield. So it was like really weird because you would think it would kind of, like everything would move to one direction. One would be better. Seems not to be the case. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. That's it. Go have fun. Go train, I guess, if you can. Drill, if you can. Do some movement stuff. Maybe you have someone you can roll around with, hopefully, if you're lucky.
Most of all, stay safe.
Yeah.
Help others stay safe.
Yeah, don't.
Not sick.
Yeah. If you're, you know what? I'm not going to get into it. You see it every single other place. I'm not getting into it. It's all over everything. So.
Thanks, facility. You too.
Yeah. Hopefully you're
Hope you
feeling
feel
better.
better,
Yeah. Hopefully it is just that pond. That's the thing. I think it's freaking out a lot of people. Like,
that was bothering me a lot before this really became a thing here, and then as soon as it became a thing here, everybody's like, "Oh my god!" It's like, oh,
yeah. So.
allergies.
Yeah, so hopefully, fortunately, I'm going to train with Kyle before the stream tomorrow. So that's going to be great. I haven't trained since like Thursday of last week. So I'm really, I'm really needing to get beat up a little bit, I think. So, and Kyle's the guy to do it. So anyway, join us tomorrow back here at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll see you the whole rest of the week. That's it. Bye.